The title of the next talk is Exploring Radiation Oncology Representation on the NBME Official Practice Material for the Undergraduate U.S. National Standardized Medical Board Examinations. This is medical student, future radiation oncologist, Mary Mahoney.
Okay. Hello, thank you for the introduction. So, yep, I'm Mary Mahoney. I'm a fourth year medical student at SUNY Upstate, but I'm actually graduating on Sunday. So, unfortunately, I always thank you. So, not a medical student for much longer, and I'll be entering sort of the GME world as a resident very soon. So, as we talked, a lot of words here, but essentially, I had the opportunity this year as a fourth year student to work with some amazing mentors up at SUNY Upstate in Syracuse, as well as some amazing people here at ROECSG, to really tackle an issue that hasn't really been looked at, which is really highlighting that radiation therapy does exist on the official practice material for the USMLE and NBME exams. All right, so just a quick background for our international friends, as well as our friends who aren't physicians, is medical education is 4 years in the US. It's broken up into basically big milestones. So the first 2 years are your basic science years. At the end, you take something called the USMLE Step 1 exam. Then you enter the clinical sciences, you do core rotations, and at the end of each core rotation, you take something called an NBME shelf exam. Then on the completion of year 3 and when your core rotations are all done, you are eligible to sit for something known as USMLE Step 2 clinical knowledge exam. And then for the purposes of this talk, we're not going to be talking about Step 3, which happens after graduation during intern year. And I think what's really interesting about this topic is hasn't really been looked at in the US. There has been some good data in other countries such as Canada and elsewhere, but in the US, the last time someone has looked at oncology particular stuff, it was in the 1970s, and that's before USMLE even existed. And they also only looked at the ancestor of Step 1. So they also did not look at the clinical sciences. So this is very much uncharted territory. All right, so to tackle this project, we originally tried to look at the official questions, but we weren't able to do that because of security issues. So we did the next best thing, was looking at practice questions. So the NBME, to help students prepare, you're allowed to purchase practice examinations known as self-assessments, and they also maintain sample questions in PDF form, and then a student's notes is a free 120. So we looked at all those questions, so it was about 3,565 questions. And then within those questions, they have prompts, they have answers, and they also provide explanations. So a lot of reading, a lot of open coding. So from that huge population, we read, still learning how to use this. So we read all of those, took a lot of time, and we found out that oncology questions, there was about 300 of them, so they composed about 10% of all total questions for all these exams. And then from there, we were interested, okay, so what kind of questions were involving something about treating cancer? So that could be anything from systemic therapy, which we defined as hormonal therapy, immunotherapy, or chemotherapy, or surgical intervention, such as a resection, as well as radiation. So for cancer therapy questions, of those oncology questions, only about 100 were actually asking to treat the cancer. Sometimes it was just doing a diagnosis based on radiographical imaging or pathology imaging. So actual treatment questions were about 100 or 3% of the total volume. And then radiation was there. It was very small, but it was there. And it happened about 27 questions across all these exams. All right. So we used a qualitative research approach. So basically, we didn't really have a hypothesis going in. So this is basically where we're using the data to inform the data. So it's very much open coding. It's seeing, what kind of patterns are you identifying, and then saturating codes from there. So the first thing we're interested in is, where are these questions appearing throughout these undergraduate medical education? So it was present on all the step exams, it was present on USMLE Step 1 and Step 2, and then most of the shelves, with the exception of pediatrics, emergency medicine, and family medicine. We didn't see any for the currently available practice questions. So the next question we were asking, okay, so now we have distribution. How is radiation being sort of portrayed in this? So what kind of questions are they asking? Is it the right answer or the wrong answer? So this is where things get really interesting. So here's the rest of it. So a lot of times when you were encountering radiation in these practice exams, you were often being asked the toxicity of treatment. So that's anything from secondary malignancies to maybe having nerve damage. And then also, if you were encountering radiation, it was tending to be the wrong answer for a plethora of reasons. It was very interesting. There was about 4 different categories of why to be the wrong answer, such as you wouldn't use radiation in the first place, such as an MS case. Or what was very interesting is that sometimes, according to the NBME, they gave explanations. It would be like, oh, this would be the 2nd or 3rd line treatment. You wouldn't be doing this for 1st line. And I think what's very telling is that it's just never the correct answer, ever. So that's good. So that got us curious, okay, is this just a radiation thing, or is this something more systemic within, how is chemo being portrayed or surgery being portrayed? So we went into that. So we looked at our code. So how much within a code of correct answer or toxicity, how much was radiation comprising, how much was chemo and surgery? So again, we see radiation is never the correct answer. Surgery tends to be the correctest most times. So med students, if you don't know what to put, maybe you should put surgery because it tends to be the correct answer most of the time. And I think what's also really interesting that radiation tends to be the 2nd or 3rd line treatment, like it comprised most of that bucket as well, which is also interesting. So there might be sort of a unbalanced portrayal of radiation compared to other treatment modalities. All right, so in conclusion, radiation is present on the undergraduate board exam practice materials, which students are using. All students have to take these board exams, so they're kind of being exposed to this, and this is sort of the patterns that they're being exposed to. And sorry, spoiler alert to our med students, that you're going to be seeing this on your step 2 exam that you're taking very soon. And then when you're actually looking at how radiation is being portrayed, it tends to be the toxicity of treatment, tends to be a huge learning objective, and then also tends to be the incorrect answer. So that's fine. And here's my contact information if you're interested in this or have any other questions. Thank you.